So, welcome to podcast number 3 of The Modern Contractor. Today, we're going to talk more about my history, my business that I'm currently running, the coaching that we're doing. Today, I just want to give you a little bit more information as a background to why we have this podcast and the coaching program and what we're trying to do with it, so that you learn a little bit more about me and the business that I'm currently running. And as the 2 episodes before, Blake, my son, is going to interview me to try to give some more information about the background.
So take us back to the beginning. What was your background before starting Burish?
So as we talked about in podcast number 1 a little bit when we were doing an introduction, I grew up a contractor's son. My dad built very large custom homes and did a lot of different type of commercial buildings as well. And so I grew up in an environment where I learned about taking care of customers. I learned a little bit about the industry. I worked for him and learned a little bit of the trade side of it. To be honest, I was never really good at the trade side of it. I wasn't good at the installation. If I was to install a window for you today, it would take me all day to probably do one, where I can send a crew and they'll do 10. So it kind of brings me back to when I was in college, and this is maybe where I got it. My dad, obviously, when he started his business, he framed his houses. He did a lot of the work, and then we'd move into it, and then he'd sell it. He came to build, in my college dorm room, he came to build me a loft. And that's when I learned that he was very similar to me in that way, because it took forever. And it was the most structurally sound loft you've ever seen in your life. But I've never was really good at the trade side of it, but I did learn how to take care of customers. And when I graduated college, I went into recruiting for a couple of years. I wasn't real good at working for others, so I started my own small recruiting firm. But I got really tired of the phone work. I was on the phone all day long, and I wanted to be interacting with people more. I worked for another siding and window contractor, a friend of mine, for 6 months. In that time, I learned a lot about specifically siding and windows, but I also learned that, hey, I had ideas of how I wanted to do it, and there was things in the business that I would want to do differently. So I started Burish Home Solutions. It was actually BHS Enterprises at the time, and we started. One of the first things we did is we cleaned windows for like a year. And then we got into the different things, and now 23 years later, we have one of the largest home improvement companies in Iowa.
What was your original vision when you started?
I wanted to be different. I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to bring some non-traditional thoughts in the industry. I knew how it operated. If you ever watched the movie Tin Men, that's a good representation of a lot of people in our industry. But I just wanted to do it differently. I didn't want it to be about sales and always closing and sitting at the kitchen table with Mr. and Mrs. and figuring. I didn't want that. I wanted to offer options to customers. One thing that's very different with us is almost all salespeople in our industry are taught how to sell this particular window. Well, that particular window probably isn't right for every neighbor on the street. So what we always have done is offer different options. I just wanted, in the long run, I wanted us to be viewed differently than our competition. And we certainly have achieved that.
Can you describe what the business looked like when it was doing $65,000 per month? And what were the main challenges you were facing?
So in my second year, we probably did a little more than that. But the first year, the challenges were it was me. I was doing everything. And I had to at that time. We were a startup. We were just getting rolling. But challenges were I worked an ungodly amount of hours. I worked till the wee hours of the night. I did everything from accounting to sales to ordering to... So it's where a lot of contractors are at, is that level, and that's what we want to try to help them out with. But the difficulties were many at that point.
Was there a specific moment when you realized you needed to make a significant change to grow beyond that level?
So that level I grew beyond really quickly. So the first 4 years of business, I basically grew at 100%, so we were doing pretty well. But then it got into this 15-year period where we sat at within 10% revenue number every year. And honestly, I don't know exactly what the exact point was, but I know that one of the things that we did that started changing my life and started changing my perspective was in my first 18 years or so of business, I probably was on vacation for 45 days total. and that's a sign that your business is running you. But we went on, and you should remember this, but we went down to Key West for Christmas, and we spent 10 days down there. And the business kind of took care of itself. We were smaller, way smaller back then. Back then we probably had six employees or so. But after that trip, I started doing a lot of things. I started going to the gym every day. I started listening to a lot of podcasts, started reading a lot of stuff. And then my philosophy started changing, and that's the point. Prior to that, my business was running me, but then this is the point where I kind of took control, and I started running the business. I started creating a business, and that's what's different between me and a lot of my competitors. That I have a business that will run itself. I have a team that will take care of themselves, but it took a huge philosophy change. I had to start looking at, when I hire people, not looking at keeping the price down, how little can I pay it, but I started looking at it, wait, this is an investment in the business. I had to be willing to pay more to get good people. And I think I don't have a distinct point I can say it all changed, but I do think that the vacation down to Key West was the start.
How long did it take to go from $65,000 per month to where you are now? And what setbacks did you encounter along the way?
It took, to where I'm now, it took 23 years. To where we saw significant, I just mentioned, about 5 years ago is when we grew at 100% one year. We grew at 60%. We grew at 30%. Right now, we're at 40, or about 38% growth this year when our market is very down for most people. The setbacks are many. A lot of the setbacks have to do with people, hiring the wrong people. Then that'll set you back, and you have to retrain. Setbacks also include, my managerial style, holding people accountable, leadership, providing training. We still have setbacks with that. We could still do a better job. That's why I think it's significant that I'm still in the industry and I'm coaching other contractors, but I'm still doing it every day. And so I think that brings a significant advantage to others.
How did you identify that you made your company different from competitors, and how did you communicate that to potential customers?
It's through everything we do, every process, every procedure we do, they're going to see that we're different. How do I know that we've done that? I'm told every day by customers, by suppliers, by vendors, by employees who we've hired from other contractors. I recently hired a sales assistant for me, and they worked at a competing company. And we went on an appointment one day, and he was with me, and we went into a house, and the lady said, well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so all told me I have to replace my windows. And I looked at the windows, and I'm like, I'm finding this hard to believe that 3 people actually said you have to replace your windows, and you certainly do not. These windows were not rotting. They were all working. There was no glass seal failures. There was no real visible. There's a little bit visible of aging, but that could easily be stained and lacquered and taken care of. And I just flat out told her, I said, I don't see any reason why you have to replace your windows right now. And he looked at me like, when we got in the car, and he's like, do you know if I did that, if I went back to my office where I used to work and I told him I did that, there's a good chance I'm going to get yelled at. I know that, but there's a really good chance I get fired, because I was told every time I go to an appointment, I have to sell something. And we just don't operate anywhere like that.
Oh. How'd your role as the owner change as the business grew?
It's changed dramatically, but I had to be willing to change. So for years and years and years, I felt like I had to make every decision. Everything had to go through me. So my role has changed because I allowed it to change. I worked on myself and made it happen. But the role now is I can think bigger picture. I can think vision. I can think of where we're going to be in 10 years. I don't think about every detail, every job going on. I kind of oversee things a lot less on a daily basis. That gives me an opportunity to make sure that I'm growing the business. But you have to be willing. Most contractors want to own and run and do everything. Until you change that mindset, you're never going to build a big business.
You mentioned how important it is to hire good people. What is your approach to finding and keeping quality team members?
That's something we're still learning every day. We're getting better and better, but we're constantly, one thing, it used to be we'd lose somebody and then we react and we would go run an ad and everything, but now we're constantly keeping an open door. We have ads running continually, so if we can ever find good people. We're still in the process of doing a better onboarding, better training. I think we're still growing there, but I think we've come a long ways from where we would have been 10 years ago. I think the second part of your question about keeping employees, that's extremely important, obviously, but we do a lot. We have an excellent benefit package. We do golf outings. We buy season tickets to local sports teams. We do a lot of different things to try to keep them happy. We have a great team now, and we want to keep them happy. We do Friday grilling for meetings and just different things, but it's just about creating, I talk about the customer experience, but we also want to take care of the employees so that they deliver the customer experience every day.
Lastly, what is the most important mindset shift that needs to happen before any significant growth is possible?
The shift that has to happen, and you have to, trust me, you're going to battle yourself to do it. You have to stop working in your business. You have to start working on your business. If you want to build a business that works for you, that lets you have the life you want, you have to learn how to let other people do things, how to hire the right people, and then you need to learn to look at your business from 30,000 miles up in the air and build it to create the business you want.
Is there anything else you would want to talk about before we end?
I think this is a good point. I just point out that we do have the moderncontractor.co website. That's the website for our coaching business. And I want to point out that I think it's unique in the sense that I am still operating a very fast-growing home improvement company, but also really, really enjoy coaching younger contractors or smaller operators, helping them improve their business and improve their life. And I think the big key point is yes, we charge money for the service, but we don't charge, we're not looking at it. That's not my primary revenue. I still get paid by Burish Home Solutions. It's just I really enjoy helping others create something that they can really be proud of. So the moderncontractor.co. I also have a book, Differentiate and Dominate, you can buy on Amazon. And I just want to thank you, Blake, for helping me out with the first 3 episodes. And I want to thank all of you for listening. And I hope that you'll find some content over the years very beneficial in growing your business.